Continues to change the world. Now, these are the words of the late former President Nelson Mandela. 20 years into democracy, access to education cannot be the only subject of inquiry when the quality of education is just as crucial. A journal, Perspectives in Education by Academics in the KwaZulu-Natal region, further interrogates the caliber of the knowledge of teachers in mathematics. Today we have one of the authors, Professor Sarah Bansilal from the University of KwaZulu-Natal, to tell us a little bit more about this. Professor, thank you for being our guest. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Now, maths is a very, very important part of the curriculum. I mean, we put a lot of emphasis on this. What did research show in terms of the standard of teachers when it comes to their knowledge of maths?
The study that we carried out was with teachers from KZN, and we administered a grade 12 examination paper, the first paper one. And we found that the average that the teachers performed on the average percent was 57%. The median was 61%, which means that half the teachers got above 61% on that test and half got below. The test was a grade 12 examination paper, a previous year's supplementary paper.
Yeah. Gosh, that doesn't sound too promising, does it?
Yeah, it does sound concerning.
So what are your findings? I mean, what do we draw out of this? Is that our teachers are not experienced enough? What can we say?
Okay, the teachers in our group were mainly over 35 years. 78% of them were over 35 years. And we found that the teachers did well in certain types of questions. In maths, we have 4 levels of questions. We have level 1, which is the knowledge questions. We've got level 2, routine procedures. Level 3 is slightly more complicated, complex procedures. And level 4 is the problem solving. So at level 1 questions, the teachers got 84%. So they're able to deal with routine problems that they find. But however, in the last level, level 4, they only obtained an average of 26%. And that was a bit of concern, because teachers should be able to take a simple problem and do much more than just work out the simple problem. They should be able to handle the tricks and the twists in any problem.
Yeah, and these were maths teachers that did the test.
These were maths teachers in the FET level. That means they were teaching grades 10, 11 or 12. Yeah. And they were part of an in-service program at the university when we conducted the study.
So, I mean, the reality is if you are teaching a subject, you should be able to pass it with full marks, because, I mean, you're trying to pass the knowledge onto an entire class that's listening to you. And, I mean, I think this could adequately reflect what's happening when you look at our pass rate and perhaps our standard of maths. Is this perhaps what's to blame?
Part of the reason is that the teachers probably are struggling with the content that they teach, as we see. And I think the other issue is that although teachers are struggling with the content, and we see many teachers are struggling with the content, we have to realize that teachers don't work in isolation. They're part of a school. And if schools are managed properly, there should be a support system where teachers work in teams. For example, at the very first level, they work in teams in the grade. And then you have a subject discipline head. And then you have your school management. Then you have your subject advisors. So there should be all of these checks there where teachers have support. So if teachers have problems, there are people that they can ask for help. We can't just like point fingers and say, oh gosh, this teacher got 39% in the test, and how terrible is he, and he shouldn't be teaching, and so on. We should ask ourselves, what support do we have in place to help those teachers improve? Knowledge is not static.
Yeah.
You develop as you teach.
Yeah, you do indeed. But so what are some of the solutions? I mean, what can we do? Is it the level, I mean, let's look at it. Is it the level of the FET colleges where students go to learn teaching, where our teachers qualify and come into the system? Is it once they get into a school that they don't have the support, as you're talking about, to help them to impart the knowledge through? Or is it a lack of interest on the teacher's behalf to want to learn, to want to know? Where do we find the problem predominantly?
I think from my experience, it's a combination of all of that. teacher colleges were closed in the 1990s, and there was concern about the quality of many of the teacher colleges. Not all, but there were many teacher colleges that were teaching and preparing teachers at the level of school level. And that is why I think that most of the colleges were closed down. So that was a problem. Teachers were underprepared, and then when the colleges were closed down, we had a lot of curriculum changes, and teachers were thrown in the deep end. And of course, we have the systems in school that should be supporting them. You said, what are the solutions? I think we have a lot of existing interventions in the system that we need to strengthen, because we have plenty of good interventions, but probably they're not working as well, and we need to make it work stronger. For example, we have master teachers in the system where more experienced teachers receive, I think, more pay, and perhaps these teachers can be used effectively to support the less experienced teachers. We need to see who are the people that are appointed as master teachers. We have the IQMS system, which should be used beyond monitoring. Monitoring should allow you to identify gaps and also identify strengths, and people with strengths should be used to help the ones who have problems. We have this Funza Lushaka bursaries, which have worked very well. We now have many bright youngsters wanting to come into teaching, wanting to teach maths, and because of the attractive bursary. However, when they qualify, the systems there are not working so well. So there's been a lot of problems with placing these teachers. So they've gone through, qualified, and we are not making as good use of them as we could.
Well,
and finally, the subject advisors, the role of the subject advisors.
Yeah.
I think they themselves need to be greater experts than the teachers, and they need to be supporting the teachers. So we have to make sure our subject advisors are the best and most capable maths teachers. Then we have to see, do we have sufficient subject advisors to support the teachers, to support the large number of teachers? Are all vacancies for subject advisors filled? Finally, subject advisors, I think in the 1990s, the unions chased most of the subject advisors out of the school. So that support mechanism was removed. And I think up till now, it's very hard for subject advisors to get into schools. They need to get into schools, they need to get into classrooms so that they can support the teachers, so that they can work together with the teachers.
All right, Professor.
So I think if some of these systems work well, we should do much better.
All right, Professor, we're going to have to leave it there, but I do hope that these findings are given to the right hands in the Department of Education, and we look at this very, very seriously in terms of how we can rectify this and the standard and the level of teaching that our children do get at schools. Professor Sarah Bansilal is a lecturer at the University of KwaZulu-Natal who assisted in this test that was given to teachers around the country. All right, let's